didn't matter whether in that year I got 10 or 20% increment, or whether I got promoted on time or got promoted late. The greatest fulfillment for me has come when people who I've worked with through my career have come back and said, we still remember what you did for us and the difference you made for us and the impact that you had on us. And so even today, what keeps me going is what Steve said. I joined this business because I felt that I have an opportunity to leave a legacy, not just in this company, but in this industry. And every time I feel down and out, even sometimes, I'm reminded of why I came here, right? And that is, there's a dream that I have, and there's a legacy I want to leave, and I don't want to leave it half finished.
Wonderful. And let me ask you this. The chapter wants to know, the nation wants to know, where are you today?
Where am I today? Well, I'll tell you, there is no job in the world that is fully done ever. And neither is this, right? Neither is this, which Steve and I are kind of co-steering in this company. There are huge things that I'm proud about. I can tell you, in the 3 years that I've been here, and this is unheard of in our industry, we have not done one thing which will embarrass us in how we do business. We have lost business. I have walked out of states in India and done zero business for as much as a year. But I said, we will not compromise how we do business. All right? Is there performance pressure? Everybody has performance pressure. But I think there's a values thing that we are pursuing that's even bigger and loftier than just the number. I feel hugely proud about the fact that we have stayed the course. Did everyone believe us? No. Other people who didn't believe us still in the company? No. Zero tolerance. I think we've made huge strides in changing the perception of this company to outside talent and to stakeholders. When I walk into government offices today, people stand up with respect, not because they're going to get something from me. I think that's a big transformation in terms of how we were seen in the past. When talent comes today, it's enabled by Diageo, because Diageo has these fantastic global brands, which I said everyone actually loves.
Yeah.
A lot of people love. And the opportunity to join a 50,000 crore startup. And I tell people this in the final interviews when I meet them. I said, don't join this if you're not up for it. Very often, people in HR and other functions come and tell me, hey, why did you frighten them so much? I said, well, I don't want them to be absolutely struggling the day they join and think, where have I joined? But equally, I say, you will have a clean slate to transform what you're doing and leave a legacy, like I'm trying to do. Will you be able to make a difference if you join? Yes. So we're able to attract talent today. I think that is several notches higher than the ones who would stand in line or we would approach earlier. And I think we have started making headway in terms of changing the culture. Now, as you'd expect in an entrepreneurial company, the culture was hierarchical. And it was almost like, one man said and everyone did. Nobody questioned. We're trying to change that to a culture where if you're hiring smart people, you don't want them to only follow instructions. You want them to think and contribute on their own feet, right? And disagree and feel fearless about disagreeing. We have flattened the organization significantly. We have made small changes that I believe have big impact to remove the symbols of hierarchy in the organization. Many of our offices in UB City, the cabins have been broken down and my leadership team now sits in open offices.
Wow.
Okay? For a company that was absolutely wooden walls.
And bearers bringing their tea.
And bearers bringing tea. Now you go to the water machine yourself. You've stopped all these plastic bottles because they're environmentally unfriendly. You go and pick up your paper cup or your cup, mug and take water. We had reserved parking for 120 people, right? We have tried to just make that completely equal. Well, not completely equal.
You still have parking.
I have my parking. But generally speaking, we are trying to, literally break down the barriers, break down the boundaries, and open the organization. I have lunches often where I call 15, 20 people, which are a cross-section of people from across the company. And Steve doesn't sit there. Their bosses don't sit there. It's my sandwich with them. Okay? And I get the real buzz about how people are feeling in the company. Then Steve hears about it from me, right? But I really get the buzz, and I think it's just so important that you can never get so senior that you lose touch with the people who are doing the hard work, with your consumer and your customer. And these are things you must never forget. And these are all big changes, symbolic changes, but hopefully changes that are also going to shape the future of the company.
Sure.
Along with a more performance-driven culture than just a loyalty culture. Right?
Yeah.
Now you've got to deliver. Right? We will help you, we'll support you. But you know, I'm always reminded of this simple equation. Performance or no performance is not equal to good performance. Sorry, good performance is not equal to no performance plus good reason. So you have to get into performance and delivery, and that's the kind of culture that we're trying to drive. So I would say we've made a good start. We've made changes that could be small but have a big impact. But we have so much to do in this organization. So much to do before I hang up my boots.
How many years, Anand? More?
How many years more? Well, in today's work environment, very often you don't have that choice. Somebody makes it for you.
Yeah.
Right? You know, people know when they've had enough of you. And they tell you. But you know, I'll be brutally honest. I mean, I have told people in Diageo, I've been here 3 years. I'll do a few more. But let's start talking succession, because I do not want what sweat and toil we've put in here to be destabilized because we've not managed the succession well. So am I desperately holding on to my chair? I'm not.
Okay.
Right? And I will give it up to the worthy person whenever the timing is right.
Wonderful.
As everyone can decide and agree.
So Steve, I don't want Anand to do your performance appraisal here, but what's your self-assessment of what HR has been able to deliver so far?
So I think we are blowing on embers to start a giant fire on transformation and leadership and the culture that we want to inherit. And I think that, you know, it's just not the symbolism which is the tokenism of what we are doing. It's not just leadership sponsorship or policies that Anand talked about were unlocking open offices, work from home, flexi working hours, maternity. That's easy. That's the easiest stuff to do. The real unlock is when you actually place the mandate for cultural change with where it belongs with everyone. For example, the Spirited Women's Network is a group by women, of women, for women, and in the empowered to take all the actions that they need to be able to foster the D&I. If we can get to a situation where we are going beyond leadership sponsorship, beyond the policy making, and place the power of leadership and change in the heart and the soul of every employee who says, I want to be, and that's the journey that we want to go in that sense. Yeah. I think if you have to build a massive piece of work, you've got to put strong foundations in place.
Yeah.
And I think the recent work around the reorganization around the commercial operating model, which is fit for purpose and to win in the marketplace, the functional primary access that we placed in, bringing the entire cluster closer to the customer, making certain that we had a de-layered organization, taking out the layers, improving the spans, getting org efficiencies back in, making certain that we've got an organization that has the belly of the initial start to then move around the professional rewards, professional leadership, succession
Steve,
plan.
on a 10-point scale, where are you?
Oh, you're asking for a number?
Yeah.
You want me to say that?
No, I wanted to say that.
So, I would say that I would be at about 4.5 to 5 to where we are going.
He's being very harsh.
So you would think they've done well, Anand?
Listen, I think we have done very well on the things that we have pursued. We have made mistakes and tripped along the way. But like I said, you know, in a startup, you know, it's not a linear progression of development of the organization. It's a non-linear. So for everything that you do, you place the bricks and sow the seeds for an exponential evolution from that step onward.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think we all, I love this phrase, healthy dissatisfaction. Whatever you do, whatever you achieve, you must be healthily dissatisfied with what you've done. You must never be fully satisfied. And I think that's what eggs you on for more and pushes you to work hard.
Wonderful.
And hopefully that's what we will
The hunger for
continue
more.
to do.
Yeah, I'm very keen to get the audience engaged with you. Yeah, and I'm going to give a reasonable amount of time for the audience to ask questions. USL is a company that you're all aware of, and I'm sure you have questions. But I request you to keep the questions focused to the theme of the conference as well. Yeah, so who has a question to go? Yeah, can we get here? Can we get a mic here to the gentleman here? Yeah. And can we make it quick? Yeah. Introduce yourself and your question, please.
Hi, sir. I am Amar. I just have only one question, sir. This question has been asked by one of my business leader, which I could not answer at that point of time. So, when the survival of the organization is at stake, can the leader still adhere to values?
I
couldn't hear.
Can you repeat?
Repeat that, please?
When the survival of the organization is at stake, can the leader
Survival
still
of the
adhere
organization.
to the values? Am I audible?
When
But
the
Survival of the organization is at stake.
and the leaders stay with values.
Values. Can he still stay with values?
Well, you know, absolutely yes. There is no organization without values. And there is no organization that's built on numbers without values. There is no sustainable organization that is built on numbers without the foundation of values. I'll tell you one story. So when I was taking on this job, the number of people who told me when we started this journey of changing how we do business in this industry, you know what people said? Anand, ye nahi ho sakta hai. Ye dhanda band ho jayega. I said, band ho jane do. Diageo, of course, Diageo didn't hear it because they've spent $3 billion to buy half this company. Right? But I said, band ho jane do. If we are going to do business, we will only do it this way. We're still sitting here on the dais and talking about our journey and our story. And I can tell you this, was our business at risk at that point in time? Did we lose in the short term? Yes. But today, are we standing tall and we created a platform for a far more successful business in the years and decades to come? Absolutely. So I don't subscribe in an organization that is sustainable or a business that's sustainable which is not built on a bedrock of values.
Thank you, sir.
Can we have the mic here to this lady? Gayatri?
I'm Gayatri. Yeah. First of all, I want to applaud you because you're putting your money where your mouth is and actually recognizing that women add value from your personal experience. And I really applaud that. My question is, what is one personal value or skill that you had which helped you face this challenge? A kind
That
of...
you mean?
no, I'm
one
asking
personal
you.
Yeah,
Anand.
personal skill that I have.
Or value which helped you cope with this challenge and which you would like your successor to have?
So I would say that I'm an optimist. I tend to look at the glass more half full than half empty. And I think, in the trying times, being able to see possibility in every dark cloud, recognizing there is a silver lining in every dark cloud, being able to see that little bit of light at the end of every dark tunnel, and then galvanizing people to seeing that little light along with you, I think is what kept me going. I have been through enough challenges. I mean, my colleagues from Unilever days know the challenges that I've been through also in terms of business success. It hasn't been easy. But I think that's the one thing, resilience and the ability to stay positive, because the other thing is, positivity is also infectious. It rubs off on people around you and has a cascading effect, right? And I believe it is the job of a leader to also infect the organization with your thinking and your spirit, right? It's our role. And that's what I think has worked for me.
I'd like to add one, and I've experienced Anand. You know, when you're making so much of change happen, critical to it is a set of people's principles that has to be fair and consistent. And I have never been more challenged to own the consistency and the fairness and the structure of those principles on every case, on every minute. And he would hold that tension to ask me at every stage, are we applying this principle? Is source for everyone. I think this is something that is an element that everyone across the organization experiences Anand as. He's a fair person and he will listen.
Hi
Go ahead.
all. And I'm extremely delighted to see an organization take the route of aligning personal purpose with professional purpose, which I know for sure in the last 10 years of my research is the only way to have sustainability. But the challenge is most of the person's purposes are based on the state of intelligence, which is more survival oriented. So the goalposts or the purposes for most people that do in disruptive technology is keeping on changing. So I would like to know how you're really looking at if personal purpose is your anchor through which you're aligning your professional purpose as an organization. Because this is almost first of its kind in an organization. So how you're gearing up towards sustaining the personal purpose and aligning it with the corporate purpose.
Should I go ahead? So I first of all agree with the research that you referred to about personal purpose and that being the major impact. On the other hand, I differ from the Western notion of the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy that says survival and that the Indian psyche, as I experience it, works in the simultaneity of being able to hold all the various aspirations that is mentioned in the piece. Yeah? When you look at professionals that come into an organization, they want meaning, something that gives their life and what they do purpose. Money, salary, compensation, perquisites, all the things that we refer to is available in any organization. Work is of the same kind. When you join an organization, you are essentially doing the same thing in any place that you would have done. But the choice you make of joining an organization is the choice of embracing a culture in which you flourish. The foundations of what we do is to be the best you can. So the freedom to succeed. Be passionate about the customer, value each other, and take pride. And I think these fundamental belief systems go beyond this survival. Because dil mange more. And I really believe that today we are at a stage where it's all about dil mange more in an organization.
Thank you.
See here, sorry, just on the same.
Raman, in
the belonging
value of time,
factor.
I'm just going to jump there. Yeah.
Steve, given that, sorry, Deepak Shetty from Philips. Good? Can you hear?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, question really is, you know, with the age group of the workforce being what it is, and you know, I'm sure you will also face the fact that most of the employees will be of a younger age group. You're seeing automation, AI, all that hitting us. How are you experiencing that in your business, and what are you thinking about, you know, the personalization of the employee experience as it is happening at the customer side will now come inside the organization, right? So what is the new thinking which is happening in your organization?
What's the
The
question?
new generation of employees, AI, technology disruption, how is it affecting your organization? How do you see that affecting your customer-facing organization?
I'll take a shot at what you're saying. So this is more about how is it affecting employees in relationship with the customer. Okay.
For an example, yeah.
For as an example. So alcohol is a media dark industry in India. the embracing new technology and digital is not a nice to do thing in our company. It's at the heart of what we need to do. So all the work we do, certainly that's customer facing now, has a very, very strong technology element to it. We're one of the few consumer companies, I think, that has had a chief digital officer for a long time with an entire team. We send people out, as indeed a whole group of people is currently under a long-term kind of 6-9 month training module to develop how they can bring technology better into the company. And of course, all this is then knitted together with the backbone of IT and other more common aspects of technology. So that's what I would say. And
any artificial intelligence, the latest IoT, those kind of stuff?
I can give. So the other thing is, when we do consumer research, typically you go to consumers, you give them a product, you go back with a questionnaire, 5-point scale, rate it, you like it, you don't like it. What happens for alcohol? Where it is so sensorial and where it's about being able to determine the softer experiences that you've experienced rather than the tangible functional benefits. As a company, we use neuroscience, by the way, where you have consumers with these 40 electrodes on their head, and through eye movements and other things, we decode preference. So absolutely, I think we're trying to bring in the latest of technology in how we can make our business more competitive.
So I think
One last question to the lady there.
Good evening, everyone. I am Megha Saraswat and I represent the marketing function. I have a very basic question. Sir, you mentioned that you would encourage more a performing culture rather than a loyalty culture. And I also recorded the quote that you said that, good performance cannot be equal to no performance is equal to good reason. So if you had to choose between a person who is a good performer and might not be so loyal, or maybe is a recent addition to the organization, whereas here is a person who's very loyal for years together in the organization, but might not be a performing asset. How do you make the choices,
Loyal
sir?
versus good performance.
So, this is not an either or completely, obviously, right? And I think the new word for loyalty is engagement, right? Having somebody who's really loyal, but who doesn't deliver anything for the organization, what do you create? You create an organization of sycophants who are just sitting around you, right? And they're loyal to the organization, but they don't deliver what the shareholders want. Equally, you don't want outstanding performers, and I've always believed this. I don't want people who are, Einsteins, because at the end of the day, I'm selling alcohol here, or I was selling chocolate earlier. Right? They're fairly simple, basic products to sell. Right? I don't need rocket scientists here, but I want people who can absolutely deliver performance, but be engaged enough within the organization and committed enough in the organization. So I think it is a combination of performance and engagement is a two-way street. Right? So this is not about hiring and firing and just saying, you don't deliver, you're sacked tomorrow. Obviously, that's not the kind of thing. But it's not loyalty alone. And I think we need to get to the right continuum to succeed in an organization.
Okay, we have a minute more, and I have some rapid fire questions for the two of you. And I don't want you to think too much, just answer from your hearts. Yeah? So Steve, what's your nightmare these days?
is to build muscle around the VUCA, the muscle around seeing that VUCA as new normal.
Okay. And Anand, if you had a wishing wand and anything would come true, what would you wish for?
That corruption goes away in our country. Wow. It will change the face of our industry and our company as well.
Fantastic, yeah? And what has been your proudest leadership moment in this organization?
That's a tough one. I suppose the proudest leadership moment for me has been, we have inflicted the kind of change in an organization in 3 years that most organizations don't see in a decade. And it is the resilience of the people, the can-do spirit, which I said is part of the DNA of this organization, to embrace change, to see the glass as half full, and to stand by me and along with us in this journey of progress.
Wonderful. And Steve, last question. What do you want to be remembered for when you're done with this role?
That got an inheritance, left behind a rich legacy.
Wonderful. Give them a wonderful session for a great round of applause for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I request Mr. Goswami to come up on stage?
What time is your flight? 15. You want to call your... Let me come around.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Can this take a... Thank you. Captain.